Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about something that I've been thinking a lot about recently, and that is how can I grow my art business organically without losing my soul? And when I say losing my soul, what I mean is how can I grow my business in a way that's really authentic to me and that really feels right? And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because growing up, I often heard the idea that you shouldn't turn your hobby into a business. That if there's something that you really like to do, like art or music or dancing, if you try to make money from it, you try to make it a career, then you're going to destroy the thing that you loved most about it, and then you'll end up not loving it anymore. And I think this is a serious concern and it's worth thinking about. But at the same time, I find it hard to believe that every single person who has a creative career no longer likes it. In fact, I think that there are a lot of people who have creative careers who are making art full-time or writing or making music, and they still love it and they still feel that passion and that joy. I just refuse to believe that all professional artists are sick and tired of making art. And for me, I just feel so compelled to make my art more than just a hobby, more than just a thing that I relegate a couple hours to each week. For me, I'm really dedicated to my painting and it's a huge part of my life, and I want it to stay that way. That being said, I think there are a lot of pitfalls along the way to turning your art into a business that can cause you to get burned out or really stop enjoying the process. I've only been investing in the business side of my art for about 2 years now, so in the grand scheme of things, that's not too much time. But during that time, I really focused on trying to build a business that is growing organically in a way that feels authentic and in a way that preserves my love for art. My whole focus is on the long game, where I can sustain my love for painting for many years to come and keep it as something that is my way of connecting spiritually with the world and that brings me joy, that helps me access a state of flow. And I think to do that requires slow, steady, organic growth over many years. And I think it's important to note that on my path, it's been really important for me to have a day job, because having a day job has given me the financial freedom to paint only what I really want to paint and work on the ideas that are most exciting to me. Having a day job allows me to pursue this path of slow growth and focus on this long-term goal. It does mean that I have less time to paint, but I think it's worth it so that I don't have to chase opportunities just to try to make money. And while it's only been 2 years since I've started my art business, I think I've already started to realize some of the potential pitfalls that can cause doing something you love, that can take that and turn it into something that you hate. And I think the two main pitfalls are, one, when people lose their authenticity, and two, when people work so hard that they get completely burned out. So for the first issue, people can lose their authenticity. And I'm gonna say authenticity a lot. I think it can mean a lot of different things to different people. But to me, it means that when you see something or when you do something, it just feels right deep down. Like it feels like, yes, this is the right thing to do. Another thing that's kind of related to it is if you're doing things as a means to an end versus doing things as an end in and of themselves. For example, I love painting, and for me, painting is an end in and of itself. Even if the painting doesn't sell, even if people don't like it, I just enjoy the painting process. And so for me, it feels really authentic. And I think when people are trying to chase really rapid growth, maybe they're trying to go viral really quickly or get sales up as fast as they can lose sight of their authenticity and start doing things as a means to an end. I'm going to talk about how I noticed some of these things cropping up in my own business, but first let me talk about the other pitfall. So the other pitfall that I think creatives can face is they just work themselves to the bone at the expense of their health, their relationships, and their spirituality. We can get so focused on making our art and trying to promote what we do that we can neglect our health, we can stop working out, we can stop sleeping as much because we're staying up late at night working. Maybe we're not seeing friends as much because we're working on weekends even just to try to make the work and just to try to make it happen. But the thing is, it's really hard to make creative work. It's really hard to experience flow and really enjoy the process when you're feeling completely exhausted, when your health is poor, when your relationships are not there and not supportive. That's just, I think, a recipe for disaster. How have I kept these things in mind in growing my own business? One of the things is focusing on this feeling of authenticity. So for me, being authentic to myself means that I don't take commissions for things that I don't want to paint. There are certain subjects that I really like to paint, certain things that really inspire me, and there are other subjects that I just don't want to paint. Or maybe a client will show me a photograph and I just don't think it's going to work well for a painting. And in those cases, if I was really just chasing fast growth, then I would be very tempted to say yes, even though my heart wasn't in it. But because I'm committed to this slower, more organic path of growth, I can confidently say no, because I know that that's helping me say yes to other opportunities that are more aligned with what I really want to do. The other thing is that I don't chase trends. So if there's a trend on social media that a lot of artists are doing, but if it doesn't feel right to me, I'm not going to do it. For example, I notice a lot of artists on TikTok were using these particular sounds in their videos or designing videos in this particular way. And for me, it just didn't feel like me. I didn't like the way the videos sounded. I didn't like the way the videos were presented. It just didn't feel authentic. And so I decided I wasn't going to pursue that path. And as a result, my TikTok hasn't grown very quickly. It's been a very slow growth path, but the people who are following me on TikTok actually like the videos that I really want to produce. And that's not to say that I don't benefit from trends at all. There are trends that happen to be aligned with what I'm already doing. For example, the food paint challenge on Instagram is when a bunch of painters get together and we paint the same still life photo every week. And I did that for a long time and I was able to get a lot of traction because of that. But that was something that I already wanted to do. I was already painting still lifes. I enjoyed being a part of that community. And so for me, that felt authentic. And I think one thing to keep in mind with this idea of like maintaining authenticity is that you just have to accept the fact that your work is not going to appeal to everybody. So I know that for some people, they're just not going to like my work. And I can't appeal to the masses. Not everyone's gonna like the work that I produce. For me, it's more about focusing on finding the people who really like what I wanna make. And the awesome thing about the internet is that there's just so many people who have access to being able to see my art that I am not constrained by my local audience, but I can actually attract a global audience. And maybe the people who are into what I'm painting in my local neighborhood is pretty small, but when I go to a global scale, there's actually a lot of people who really like what I'm doing. So I try to work more on being authentic to what I really want to create, knowing that this audience that I've cultivated already really likes that. And I'm not trying to be someone that I'm not. I'm not trying to paint things that don't feel right to me. So what this means is that I only take on commissions that I'm really excited about. I only follow trends if I think they're really fun. And I only pursue partnerships and collaborations with people who I think are really cool. And in the end, I think that helps me grow my business in a really joyful way. I've passed up on a lot of easy short-term growth opportunities, but I've done it so that I can pursue this long-term path of growing a business and creating value and doing the thing that I really love. So now I'm going to discuss the other main reason why I think some people who turn their hobbies into a job end up hating it. And I think that's just simply overworking. Growing a creative business is really hard. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of energy. Usually there's like no specific roadmap to follow. You kind of have to cobble together a bunch of different resources to figure out how to make things work. And really it just takes an immense amount of work. And if you're trying to grow really fast, maybe you also have a day job at the same time, then you're trying to shove all of this work into a really, really small amount of time. And that can mean just stressing yourself out and not making time for the other things that are really important in your life. And I definitely felt this temptation come up in my own life. Sometimes I'm really excited to finish a painting or finish a video, and I am tempted to just stay up late. And sometimes I do. I'll stay up late and not get as much sleep. And then the next day I just feel completely depleted and I can't even make any good creative work because I haven't gotten the sleep that my body needs. Or maybe I'm in a creative flow working on a painting and that means that I end up skipping my run that afternoon. And maybe that happens a couple days in a row. And then by the end of the week, I realize I'm feeling just really sluggish and not great and not energetic. And of course, the reason is because I haven't been taking care of my body. I haven't been exercising and energizing myself in that way. Or I can neglect my relationships. One thing for me that comes up a lot is because I work a day job, I do a lot of painting on weekends. And it can be really hard to say yes to some friends who want to hang out when I haven't gotten to paint during the week and I really want to paint on the weekend and it feels like the only time I have. We can also feel tempted to neglect our spiritual side, which I think is so important for artists to maintain and to cultivate. And for me, that means a lot of meditation, a lot of journaling, a lot of just going for long walks and connecting with the world. And that's where I feel like I get so much inspiration from my art. And yet some days a painting session will go long, or I'll be running short on time, and so I'll skip my meditation, I'll skip my journaling, even though that's something that feeds directly into my artistic practice. Through trial and error, through my own experience, I have learned that we really need to focus on cultivating these things and protecting these parts of our lives, because maybe in the short run you can get the project completed if you, say, skip out on sleep, but in the long run you're going to be setting yourself up for failure. And I want to talk a little bit more about this idea of authenticity, about understanding what feels right to you, because I spent a lot of my life ignoring what felt right to me. I focused a lot more on external validation and achieving things that were valuable in the outside world without really thinking of whether or not they were aligned with what I wanted for myself. And gradually, through a lot of different practices like meditation and yoga and going on walks, journaling, in particular, I read the book The Artist's Way, which really helped me think about what I really wanted and what I was really trying to accomplish as a creator. Those things really helped me figure out how I wanted my business to go and how I wanted to direct my artistic career. I think it can be really hard to connect with this voice, this inner guidance that we all have, because from the moment that we're born, we're getting all of these outside influences that affect the way that we think and the way that we feel about things. And sometimes it can be hard to disentangle what we want from what the rest of society wants. So I've learned to include these practices, these introspective practices, into my daily life so that I can connect with this voice and I can feel if I'm being led astray. I think in this whole process, one of the things that keeps coming back to me is that patience is really a superpower. And sometimes I just feel so impatient. I just want success now. I want to see my goals accomplished immediately. I want to try to do everything all at once. But when I get into that mindset, I just realize I feel unhappy, I make bad decisions, and I do work that's not authentic to what I truly want. So when I'm feeling impatient, when I'm feeling like things aren't happening enough, I try to remind myself that patience is a superpower and I'm in this for the long game. I want to create beautiful art that has a lot of value for you guys, that I love, and I think the only way I can do that is by making art out of a place of creativity and openness, rather than out of a place that's just pursuing fast growth. All that being said, like I mentioned earlier, while I've been painting for many years now, I've only been pursuing the business side of art for about 2 years. So I'm still relatively new to the game, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot more challenges to my practice along the way. But I'm hoping that by sharing these insights and the way that I'm thinking about these issues, if you're trying to turn your passion into a career, if you have a creative business, I'm hoping that it'll be able to help you on your path as well. And if you have a creative business, or if you're thinking about making one, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Have you dealt with these issues? What do you think about these issues? What other issues have come up for you that I haven't mentioned? Let me know in the comments below. I just love to hear what you have to say. I think figuring out a creative business is really tricky. Like I said, there's no guidebook. So I think it's helpful if we all support each other and share insights and share what we've learned so that we can all do what we love. And I want to give a big shout out to my supporters on Patreon. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for supporting these videos. I just really appreciate your support, and you guys help make this channel happen. And if you like my art, if you like my videos, consider joining my Patreon at the link below. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.